Hey, welcome back to Movie Quotes. So we're gonna get started on kind of the local only web app. So kind of like saving local data before we do any Firebase stuff. Gonna be a fair amount of typing in this video, so get your typing fingers ready. So where we left things off last time is we just had a simple string that was getting updated over here and everything was hunky-dory. What I want to do now is I want to kind of move beyond a string. So instead of just displaying a movie, what we're going to do is we're going to make a little p tag and we're going to say the best quote from, and then we're going to like say what it's from is, and we'll do a little b tag here, put this one in quotes. So the best quote from blah is blah. So the thing that we want to do in here is we want to actually not just say movie, but we're going to make an object. So we'll call that object our movie quote. And our movie quote is going to have a .movie as one of its fields. And then likewise, it's going to have a movie quote .quote on that end. And by the way, with HTML like this, if you wanted to put it multiple lines, you totally could. I mean, anywhere where there's a space, you could do a line break, and HTML just kind of works it all out. You've probably got plenty of room on your screen, though, and it's just kind of all one thing. All right, so if I do this, that's going to be great, except for it's going to get mad at me that there is no movie quote. So you could save it, and it could load over here, but it's going to get mad at you. You'll actually notice it crashes even, right? So unread property, movie of undefined. By the way, crashing is really bad because crashing means that none of your other code runs in most situations. So try to avoid crashes. So what we want to do here is we want to say that we've got a movie quote. It's of type any is kind of what I'll say to start with. And it's going to be an object. It's going to have a movie, and it's also going to have a quote. So I will add a quote as well. And why not, we'll say everything is awesome. Cool. So fight with my idea a little bit until it looks about right, and then auto format it. So now it should say the best quote from the Lego movie is everything is awesome. And there it goes. The best quote from the Lego movie is everything is awesome. So that's great. That all works super. Now I'm going to probably start with a blank movie quote, because what I want to do is instead of starting with a given quote, we're just going to start blank. Also, you'll notice that if it is blank, we probably don't want to display anything. So we'll kind of learn some more Angular tricks. So this whole p tag, we don't want it to exist unless there is a movie and a quote. So what we can do is this, is we can do an ngIf. Now there's a shortcut for typing an ngIf. It's not much to type. But one of the things, the snippets from Angular 2 that got brought in, it's funny that it's called Angular 2, and now we're on Angular 4, is ngIf. There's an ngIf, an ngIf else, and an ng switch, which admittedly I haven't used yet. The first one will be just fine for us, so you can just do a-ngIf. You'll notice the only thing it typed was star ngIf, so we actually typed more in the shortcut than the actual shortcut, but that's okay. And what we want to do is we just want to make sure that there is, in fact, a movie, and that movie has a quote. And if either of those things are missing, it's just going to hide it there. So that was great. And if you wanted to go back and test it, you could say, you know, A, B, say the best quote from A is B. But if either of them are missing, then you can see that it goes away. By the way, the reason that trick works is because the empty string evaluates as false, which works out well. All right, so what we really want to do, though, is we want to have a way to change it. So we're going to add ourselves an input. This input is going to be of type text because we're typing text. Inputs have a lot of fields that you can set. One of them is placeholder. So you could say quote. And then another thing that you could do is you could, set a value and things like that, but I don't really want to do setting a value because we're going to show you how to kind of do it in an Angular way. But you can save it up and you can see that your input should appear. So there's my input. It's got a placeholder of quote. Now we're going to add a little bit of Angular things to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an ng model connection. And the way ng model works is you type a banana in a box, is what one person said to help them remember it. So the banana is kind of like the parentheses make a banana, and then the box is made by the brackets. You do have to put them on in that order. Any other order works out badly. And then inside it you say ng model. So what this is going to do is this is going to make a connection with something in our code. And so the connection to our code is going to be a movie quote dot quote. And so that's the important thing that you have to do. The other thing, this kind of feels like a technicality, is for some things we'll do later, you have to also give that input a name. It's interesting that name used to be a field that people used back when you did post with forms. So you had to give things names for your post. But interestingly, Angular still currently requires you to give it a name. The name isn't used in any way, shape, or form, but you still have to give it one, which is great. So we've got one of them. Let's go ahead and do the other, then we'll do some testing. So the other one's going to be from movie. And that's going to be my movie as the name, and it's going to be bound up to the movie quote.movie. So if I save this up, you can see I've got two. I don't really like that they're on the same line, so I'm just going to sneak in a BR really quick there. So now they're on two different lines. So my quote is, everything is awesome, because that's how I roll. And then I'll hit tab and I'll say the Lego movie. And you can see that we're getting some Angular features for free now. And that's the two-way data binding. So it's kind of interesting to think about what's going on here is ng model says parentheses and brackets. Parentheses, we've used those with click listeners. They mean tell TypeScript what I'm doing, right? So as I change, tell TypeScript. And then the brackets are for the other direction. So the brackets are for, hey, if TypeScript changes, change me too. So you can see that he's getting changed, which informs TypeScript. Also, if TypeScript changed for some reason, he would change as well. So he's two-way data binding. This one down here, on the other hand, is mustache, mustache. That's a one-way data binding. So mustache, mustache, it just takes whatever's in TypeScript and then it brings it into the HTML. Also with mustache, mustache, it essentially does a print of it. So it's important that whenever you're using mustache, mustache, that the thing that's in here has to evaluate to a string. You can have code and stuff, just so long as at the end of the day it evaluates to a string, and then that's what's going to get printed. Let's do just a little bit more work. So right now this thing does have a movie and a quote, but the object type is any. Let's go ahead and do a little bit better than that. Let's go ahead and make ourselves an interface. So what are we doing here? What we're doing is we're telling TypeScript, like, what type of object is this, so that it can help protect us if we accidentally misuse it, right? And so a movie quote has to have a movie, which is a string, and a quote, which is a string. So what that does is here I can say, instead of saying, hey, this is an any object, this is actually a movie quote object, and it conforms to that protocol. And then your compiler helps you. So if I type movie quote 2, it just explodes on me, right? So it's just trying to help me type. Or if I were to say movie is equal to 5, kaboom, right? So it just, it's a way to help you as you code to give things an interface. It doesn't really help you much with the HTML, but it is a best practice thing to do. I think this is a good spot to check things in. So we'll just kind of say a data binding to a movie quote. And I'll actually put it in a class because there's really an interface for it now. And I'll check that up. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to make this app look a little better. What the heck, I'll do that in the next video. So come back next time and we'll start making this thing look a little better. See you then. Bye.